Welcome to Rubber Duck Off-Road Garage. My name is Grant. Today we're going to be installing the rugged radio mount in a BTECH GMRS radio into the 2021 Jeep Gladiator EcoDiesel. I'm going to be installing it on the passenger side, right next to the center console. So it'll go right here. I went on and registered for my license through the FCC. You don't have to take a test for these ones. You just go on, register, and they send you a license. It's good for your family. So these radios are a little bit better than a CB. I mean, they're a lot better than a CB technically because they can get further range. They're not as good as a ham, but I mean, I didn't feel like taking a test to get my ham license. I might eventually down the road, but I just needed something that when I'm out in the woods, if I'm by myself or whatever, I can get a little bit further of a reach than a CB. So hence the GMRS radio. So I'm going to get started on installing this in, and I'll kind of show you how it goes. I'm going to do the mount first. Well, I've already put the bracket for the radio on the mount, but this piece has to go in first. So I'll put this piece in and I'll show you where it goes, and then I'll mount the radio to this, and then I'll mount that and show you how it fits in there. And then after that, it'll be running the wires for the radio, running the antenna cable, the mount, and then I have my antenna over here, which I'm gonna have to tune the antenna, so which means I'll have to cut it down to get it into the right frequency area. I have a little tool for that as well. It's right here. Basically, you can plug that in line with your antenna and your radio, and you can tell where it's at. So I'll get to that and I'll show you as I go along. Alright folks, so the first step is putting in the bottom bracket, which goes right here. So you take off the little cap that goes over this screw here. It's a 10mm, and you pull that out, and then you slip this bracket behind the console, behind there, and then you want to make sure that the other part down here goes in between the guide of the seat and the carpet. And then go ahead and tighten that down. Put your cap back on. Make sure the cap goes in there the right way. Like that. And there you go. So that's the first part. Next up, we'll be mounting the radio to the second part of the bracket, which is right here. I've already put the mount for the radio on here, so now I'm going to mount my radio into this bracket. There's two screws that come with the bracket, Allen heads on the back side and then lock nuts on the other. So go ahead and pick where you want your radio to sit and then mount her down. So now I will mount the radio in there and we'll go from there. Alright, so what you do now is you take these two carriage bolts, go ahead and put them through the bracket there. Don't tighten them down, you just put them in and thread the nut on a little bit so that they'll stay there. Then you go ahead and take your radio, push those two screws up and line it up and slip it in with the slots. And then tighten them down to hold the radio. And there you have it. That is how the radio is mounted in there. I'll go ahead and get those, if you can see them down in there, the two carriage bolts. I'll get those tight, and then it'll be moving on to getting it all wired up, which I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I mean, I know where I'm going to go, and I think I'm going to wire it to my auxiliary switches that I put in. And then I got to figure out where I want to mount the antenna, whether I want to do it on the driver's side or put it on the passenger side with the radio antenna. But either way, I have a mount for that too. So I'll get this tightened up, and then we'll move on to the next step of running the wires. Alright folks, so I got the bolts all tightened up on the radio, so it's in here nice and solid. I got my wiring ran, so I ran it. Let me grab a light here so it'll be a little bit brighter. It wasn't too bad, just kind of fished them through underneath the center console, or underneath the dash. So you can see there's my antenna wire, my power wires. I pulled the carpet, pulled this little pin out, pulled the carpet down, and fed them right through right back here. So if you just pull this out, you can see the wires right there. I fed them underneath the dash through that hole right there. It's kind of a straight shot over to the other side. So you just push that back in, tuck your carpet back up underneath. And then if you come over to the other side, come underneath here. So they come up right here. I zip tied them to this cross member across. And then if you get down underneath here, you can see this little cap right here. So I drilled the hole out in that, and I fed all my wires through that. And that little cap, on a diesel anyway, is right down there. You can kind of see it barely. On the diesel, that's where it's at. I don't know about a gas. I'm sure there is one in the same spot, but I'm not 100% because I don't own a gas. And then I grounded it to the ground mount there, and then I hooked it to my auxiliary switches in number 3. So now it's wired to the auxiliary switch. That way it'll shut off automatically if I leave it on or something, because the auxiliary switch setup will turn off on its own. But this way I can control everything a little bit better with the auxiliary switches, like my lights and stuff like that. And the wires weren't long enough to reach the battery. I mean, I could have made them longer, but I have this, why not use it? And other than that, that's pretty much it. I mounted the magnetic piece here to hold the mic on the dash. I'm trying just double-sided sticky tape for now. I might end up having to screw it on. I really don't want to drill holes in my dash, but if it falls off, I'll end up bolting it on like the instructions for it are. But for now, I'll try that. There's the radio. So to turn it on, I turn on my auxiliaries. I hit the third one over for the radio, and the radio comes on. And there it is, all lit up. And then to turn it off, same thing, just hit the button, hit the power button, and there you go. Auxiliaries are off, radio's off, everything's off. So, alright, so I decided to mount my antenna onto the hood with this mount here that I got on Amazon. It just slips up onto the hood lip, and then there's set screws on the back, and you tighten it, and then it has this little stubby antenna here. You can take this off, and it has the mount there, and I can put my other antenna that I have on when I get it tuned, because it's a long one, so it has to be tuned. And then this one can screw on there like that. But first I gotta tune that one to the right frequencies and all that, so I'll do that later. This little one should already be preset pretty close, so it should be fine. So I'm just gonna put that one on there for now. That's all I really need for right now anyway. So we'll leave that one on there. It's all kind of neat and out of the way. I ran the wire right here through the little gap between the hood and the cowling, and then it runs in and underneath and over to the radio, and that's it for that. So I'll finish up with the other little bit of wiring and we'll call it a day. So that'll be it for this video. If you like what I'm doing to the Jeeps, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification button. It'll notify you anytime I upload a video. And thanks for watching.